Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frederick Williams, Sergeant First Class, U.S. Army, retired. I am a security monitor for the airfield for the Director of Aviation at Fort Hood, Texas, under a contract made possible by the AbilityOne program, formerly known as the Jarvis Wagner O'Day program. I, like you, had a mission to support my country and did so proudly. But by a twist of fate, I thought it had all been taken away from me. Because of the AbilityOne program, I am now able to serve my country again. This is my story. I grew up in Monroe, Louisiana, as the youngest of 13 children. I often say my parents had to keep going until they got it right. My father passed away from cancer when I was 10 years old. My mother had taken on 2 jobs to help support us. My brothers and sisters and I also pitched in to keep the household going. We are a very close-knit family. In 1983, I made the 2 biggest decisions of my life. I joined the Army, and 6 months later, married my childhood sweetheart, Liz. In regards to my career, I was very excited about joining the service and had taken an interest in the technical field. This led me to become an air defenseman and radar technician. I started out my career in Fort Bliss, Texas, and later moved around to other installations such as Fort Hood and Fort Carson, Colorado. I became specialized in operating the far radar, the center radar, and providing satellite communication to support of our troops. When it came to my family life, Liz and I had 3 beautiful daughters. Sarah, my eldest, Chastity, our wonderful daughter with special needs, and our youngest, Miracle. I had an opportunity to show my family the world and witness history. When I was stationed in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, we went to watch the motorcade go through as the president of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos, was exiled. When the Berlin Wall came down, I was front and center, filming my children picking up pieces of the wall. When I was stationed in Camp Hovey, Korea, the only thing going on was the OJ trial. Okay, 2 out of 3 isn't bad. When I finally returned to the U.S. after my tour abroad, I was in charge of more than 30 soldiers in a mission named Noble Eagle. We served as eyes and ears via satellite and radar to deploy troops coordinated to protect the White House and the Pentagon during terrorist attacks. I also coordinated the team in charge of overseeing the president's trip back and forth from his Crawford, Texas ranch. In March of 2004, I was deployed to Iraq to help support Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was stationed at Camp Victory in Baghdad and in charge of a 14-man convoy. My patrol was tasked in escorting dignitaries and VIPs throughout the war zone. On September 18, 2004, at approximately 3:40 p.m., my life as I knew it would never be the same. My patrol and I was escorting an Iraqi engineer to survey a bridge that needed construction work. 2 other soldiers and I returned to the vehicle to radio in for further instruction. I heard a blast and saw a huge fireball heading toward us. What happened next is a blur. From what I was told, a suicide bomber was headed straight for our vehicle in his car. Before our gunner could engage, the attacker detonated the bomb inside his car once he was 5 feet away from our vehicle. We was then attacked by sniper rounds. 10 of my soldiers had to be medevaced from the site of the attack. The 2 soldiers who was awaiting with me further instruction, PFC James Price, age 22, and Sergeant Thomas Chad Rosenblum, age 25, was killed by the blast. I lost conscious once the IED went off, but I regained conscious briefly after that. What I saw still haunts me to this day. Chad Rosenboom was draped across me, pleading with me to help him. I couldn't help him or myself. I lost consciousness after that. If it wasn't for those two young men standing in front of me while I sat in the vehicle, I would not be alive here today. That is a fact that plagues me to this day. The engineer we was escorting was also killed, and the gunner protecting our vehicle suffered traumatic head injuries and, from what I've heard, now suffer from severe brain damage. I was barely recognizable at the scene of the attack. I had shrapnel in my head, neck, and legs. I was missing muscle mass in my right leg, and my left leg was permanent damage. I lost 75% of the vision in my left eye, lost hearing in my left ear, and suffered from burns all over my body. One of the shrapnel wounds, however, had become infected, and the doctors told me before my surgery they might have to remove my leg. When I came out of surgery, thankful I had both my legs, I was then preparing for my long journey home to finally be reunited with my family. Seeing them for the first time was extremely hard for me because I was lying in the hospital bed, helpless and burnt. When they were finally allowed to visit, I realized then how my wife Liz had prepared the girls and herself to see me. They just looked so happy to see me. I was afraid my 7-year-old would be scared to approach me, but she immediately climbed into the hospital bed and laid down next to me. I was so lucky to have them. Over the next year and a half, I had one mission: to walk across the stage at my retirement ceremony. I had put in the paperwork to begin the process of retirement when I was ordered to go to Iraq. I was looking forward to retiring then, but duty called. Now that I was back in recovery, all I wanted was to walk across that stage. I had served my country for over 2 decades with honor, and I wanted to finish my career that way too. For almost 2 years, I went through intense physical therapy that was both painful and frustrating. It was really tough, and there was times that I just wanted to give up, but I made up my mind that I was gonna walk again. And once I set my mind to something, I wouldn't stop until I achieved it. My retirement ceremony was one of the best days of my life. I felt like graduating high school again or something. All my children, family, friends, and in-laws was there to watch me walk across that stage. 1 year and 8 months after the worst day of my life, I was able to show them that I could be that strong man for them once again. I am not the same man though. Physically, as you can see, I am not normal. I use a cane to help me walk now. I have a piece of shrapnel in my head between the nerve and the artery that I have to live with the rest of my life. I need to periodically get CAT scans to make sure that the metal hasn't moved. One move and my life would be devastated again. As you can imagine, I am constantly conscious of what's going on around me. I am afraid of moving around in large crowds because I'm scared that someone may bump my head. My lack of balance is also a concern. I am very scared of falling. I also suffer from memory loss. The attack also left scars on me that you can't see. I suffer from severe post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm always conscious of where I am at all times. I am suspicious of people that I don't know and have a constant fear that someone is out to get me. This is normal for servicemen that have been through situations like mine. Being caught off guard with such a violent attack make you think that anything could happen at any time, no matter how safe you know you should feel. I have the help of a therapist to help me sort through all of this, and I'm happy that I am now able to speak to you here today. I wouldn't be here before that. When I was finally home and my injuries was mending, I wanted to provide for my family again. I felt restless and bored and wanted to feel useful again. I had no idea how I was going to be able to get a job in the condition I was in. I looked for jobs for months and months and submitted resumes to so many places I cannot even count. My inability to stand for a long period of time, my memory loss, and my post-traumatic stress disorder meant that I would need accommodation at my place of employment. I quickly found out that no one was willing to take a chance on me. That was a huge blow to my pride, and I felt defeated. I was constantly waiting for that phone call that would let me provide for my family again. 7 months later, I received that phone call. My wife, Liz, was working at the ID card section at Fort Hood, Texas, when a gentleman came in and asked if he can post a sign that was advertising a job for disabled veterans. His name was Mr. Everett Wright from TRDI, a nonprofit agency that works under the AbilityOne program, providing employment opportunities for Americans with disabilities on federal contracts. Liz immediately told him my story, and Mr. White said that he could help. I finally got that phone call. When Mr. White called and told me about TRDI and that they would be able to find a job that would fit in with my past work experience and the accommodations I would need, I didn't believe him at first. I felt useless and defeated after so much rejection. He assured me that there was many vets that worked for TRDI that had similar stories like mine. I had no idea of what the AbilityOne program was. All I knew that it was giving me my life back. I now work at TRDI as a security monitor. I monitor security cameras for the airfield at Fort Hood, Texas, to ensure the runways is safe for aircraft operation. It's not like my job monitored through satellite and radars, but it pulls from the skills that I have, and I'm lucky enough to work in an environment that limits my interaction I have with others, so that my post-traumatic stress is in check, and I have the accommodation for my physical disabilities as well. I work alongside the finest people who can relate to what I've gone through. I work for a Vietnam veteran named Wayne Cole, and there are countless others who have shared what I've gone through as well. We feel like a family. I recently became aware that Mr. Barry Barnett, contracting officer for the Director of Contracting at Fort Hood, Texas, and his staff was responsible for awarding the contract that I now work under. Mr. Barnett was recently awarded the AbilityOne Champion Award because of his support of AbilityOne. He and his staff knew how capable people with disabilities are supporting their mission. They also knew that they are getting the best value for the government. That is their duty. But what they didn't know is this, that because they put the pen to the paper and went with AbilityOne, a career soldier who was robbed of things most of us take for granted was given a second chance to serve his country again. I do so proudly. Thank you.